Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest is, I can get my name right. I'm gonna work hard on yours. Warwick Smith, co-founder, CEO, and director of American Pacific Mining Corp. Welcome to Radio Entrepreneurs.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan. Much appreciated.
So, Warwick, tell our listeners first a little about yourself and the industry that you find yourself in.
Yeah, I've been running a company called American Pacific Mining Corp, which is publicly traded down in the US and Canada since 2018. But I've been doing public venture capital since 1999. So we look to find good entrepreneurs and back them and take their companies public, or in this case, bet on ourselves in a field that we kind of know best, which is mining.
So, mining doesn't, with the exception of perhaps the last couple of years with crypto and things of that nature, there's been a little bit more attention on natural resources, et cetera, but really not an industry that you hear a lot about. As I said, with the exception of the last couple of years. You would think that, given that they are naturally occurring, that it presents a huge opportunity if you can get the right ingredients, so to speak, to be able to harbor what's available. How it would seem to me that's a highly capital intensive process to not only engage in mining but to be successful at it.
Yeah, listen, you're correct. It's a small business as you view it on a global scale against something like tech, right? But you either, anything that occurs in your life, you either have to grow it or mine it. That's quite that simple. Um, every person who lives in the United States consumes 12 pounds of copper a year just to stay at their baseline. So you're using metals, which only come from mining every single day. And so it's a,
Unbeknownst to most people, but it is such a
yeah,
fundamental aspect of human life.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. If you have a cell phone, if you drive a car, if you live in a house, it's been mined. So it's certainly a large part of everyday life. Uh, it's a fantastic business to be in. It is one that is capital intensive for sure. So certainly a large part of my job as CEO is fundraising and awareness for the company, getting people to know who you are, differentiating the company from the others that are out there, and finding a way to make that successful. The ultimate success is discovery. So for us, it's all about finding these large deposits of gold, copper, zinc, any of these metals that can really change the game for an investor. This is a business that can be boom or bust, depending on markets, but also if you have the breadth of knowledge and are able to make one of these big discoveries, these stocks can do incredibly well overnight, and we've been lucky enough to be a part of that along the way.
So, tell us obviously you don't get into mining as a short game. I would think that the horizon's got to be, several years, if not longer, decades. And tell us a little bit about the process, if you will, in terms of identifying areas. Then you have to go through, acquisitions and purchasing and rights and all those types of things that are, again, time-consuming endeavors. All the while trying to generate some cash. So do you have multiple operations going on at any given point where you're looking for new and you're doing your testing in various sites? Tell us a little bit about the complexity associated, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's a great question. So on our side, what we typically are looking to do is to make discoveries. So we're looking to find showings that we think can become big deposits. So most of the time in our business, it's a one-sided balance sheet where you're raising capital and then spending capital going for discovery. You're not necessarily in production. Typically, companies our size, we go and we find a significant deposit and then we turn and we sell it, either the company or the asset to one of the major mining companies. We've been lucky. We've worked with some of the biggest mining companies in the world along the way. So we partnered with Rio Tinto. We've partnered with OceanaGold, Dowa Mining and Metals, which is the largest smelter out of Japan, etc. Um, and so they view some of these smaller companies like ours as their exploration arm, where if they think we have a good idea, they'll invest in that, put their capital into it for the chance that when it becomes something, they've got the opportunity to acquire the company. So that's how it's kind of worked for us. We go out, we raise our own capital. We make sure that we always have sort of a full treasury so we can actively go after the assets we have. Since we've been around since 2018, we went through a position where the markets really weren't there. Gold wasn't really rising, copper wasn't rising. There wasn't this big interest that there is now. And so during that time, we stacked up a significant amount of assets. I say a significant amount, 7 or 8 assets is typically the most you can kind of take on. Now that we're getting into this market where people are really interested, especially in the US, in these, we call them homegrown metals, where you can get copper, gold deposits within the United States, that's become a big theme for this administration. We're selling a lot of those assets off. So we just transacted on a big asset up in Alaska, where we had sold it for $15 million in equity, another $15 million in bonus payments. That equity since doubled, so it's worth about $30 million. We've transacted on one of the other ones. It's just closing up down in Nevada, and then there's 3 more to go. So that brings equity back into our company. Plus, we've gone to raise capital as well. So we stay nicely sufficient while we focus on our main asset down in Montana.
Fantastic. So, and without disclosing any secret sauce, exploration and development seems to be a niche that you guys have developed. And how do you, is it geology? Is it, what
Yeah.
are the various pieces that allow you to be able to identify, topography? You're looking at a ground. Is it historical? I mean, I'm sure there's all types of variables that go in, and I would imagine you use a fair amount of predictive modeling to be able to determine, you know, availability, size, etc.
You're yeah, you all of that is true. The best piece of advice I can give probably for any industry, but is find yourself very smart people to work with. We work with the my business partner is a gentleman named Eric Saderholm, who's the former head of exploration in the Western U.S. for Newmont. So he knew where to find assets. It was his job with Newmont to kind of tell them this is the ones we should buy. So he had seen a lot of assets in the Western U.S. Also, their threshold is 3 million ounces and above. How you discover a lot of these deposits is you find ones that are 250,000 ounces of gold or 500,000 ounces of gold, but you believe that you're just getting the tip of the iceberg, that they've got this opportunity to grow. And that's where good smart geology comes in. Yes, some predictive modeling, AI is becoming a piece of the puzzle now as well. But a lot of it is capital intensive drilling, doing the geophysics. So basically, think like oil and gas, like seismic, where you'll use drones to look down through the earth and then know where to put your drill holes. There's an awful lot of work that goes into it. It's a multifaceted job from the CEO seat where you have to know how to raise capital. You have to know how to market your company and differentiate yourself. In a world where there are a decent amount of mining companies our size, you're competing for those investment dollars. So you're looking to, make people their money back, but create excitement around your venture so that you get that investor interest. And then three, maybe the most, well, there's numerous more, but we'll go with three for now. Um, is having people and the right team around you that you can make those discoveries to make it that massive success. Now factor in everything along the lines of a corporate governance, First Nations issues, all of those things. You've got to know how to deal with all of that from this seat. So it's a unique job for sure.
No, it definitely sounds that way. Give us a sense, work of, the company has been around for almost a decade, but
Yeah.
what is when you if maybe not be using the proper term, but acquire the rights to a particular asset, that what is the time frame that it takes to be able to go through the process of evaluating whether or not it has what you're looking for?
Yeah, one of the challenges with mining is you can get a lot of smoke. So you can get excitement, but then you're not sure on scale, right? So it can take years, decades to make one of these major discoveries. And then one of the challenges, and this is where one of the reasons that in particular copper is rising so dramatically, is the world needs a significant amount more copper than it has. There's 700 million tons that's been mined since the beginning of time. People talk about getting to net zero by 2050. You need another 1.4 million tons of copper to get there. That's twice as much that's come out of the ground since the beginning of time. So it's a very, significant challenge. Now, with that, if I put my hand up today and say we have a major copper discovery, it takes on average 17.8 years to put that copper discovery that you have into production. So it's a
Wow.
very long lag time. And that's changed. It used to be lower than 12 years back in the late 90s, but that permitting timeline has changed significantly. This U.S. administration is certainly doing their best to bring that down. They're also helping fund those operations as well. There's been a real focus on U.S. mining here, which has been great for a company like ours.
No, I would imagine so. And the next time I hear somebody complain about their cycle being, a quarter or a year, I'll tell them to take a look at mining if they think their cycles are challenging.
No,
So,
here's the one point that I'll make for investors that are looking at these types of things. From from the inception of a company to, you get an asset. If you get that one big, it can be one big drill hole, and often one big drill hole can lead to discovery, or it may not. But that one big drill hole can, take a company from, trading at, 50 cents to $5 overnight. And we see those moves in this business quite frequently. So that's where the appeal for investors is. If they believe in the geology, or if they've been recommended the geology by someone that they trust, then you've got this opportunity for these tremendous leaps and these real, large wealth creation moments. We see that a lot in our business.
it reminds me, or the parallel of golf. It's that one good shot that brings you back for another one, right? It's
You know
it's that
what?
pull of,
Yeah.
hey, we
We,
hit a great hole. There's going to be another one out there.
Absolutely, yes. But as we know, golf is a challenging game, and the golf gods will give you one or two good shots, and then a lot of bad ones. So yes, it can be like that too. I will agree.
Fascinating stuff. Our guest has been Warwick Smith, co-founder, CEO, and director of American Pacific Mining. Warwick, if people want to learn more about your company, prospective investors, etc., what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, a couple of ways. So we are publicly traded. We trade down in the United States under the symbol USGDF, and up in Canada under USGD. And then if you punch in AmericanPacific.com, you'll find us there too.
Fantastic. It's been a real pleasure getting our limited knowledge of the industry, and wish you continued success and some great big finds in the future.
Much appreciated, Jonathan. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Our guest again has been Warwick Smith, co-founder, CEO, and director of American Pacific Mining Corp. And we'll be right back with another segment on Radio Entrepreneurs.